The following segment is sponsored by Daniel A. White and Associates.
News and issues that affect the First State. Stay tuned for Del Aware PM edition, starting at 6. Now, back to the Rick Jensen Show on WDEL.
Oh, man. So the stock market is a roller coaster again, and you just don't know what to expect. It's unbelievable. Don't look at your 401k. Whatever you do, just if you're young, don't look at it. If you're older, well, I hope you have a good plan in place. Speaking of which, Andrew Wood is a great planner. He specializes in retirement income with Dan White and Associates. I've been a happy camper client of these guys for many, many, many years. You can find them online, Dan White and Associates, office in Middletown. And what's that just over the border there in 202, Andrew? Yeah, you're live on the air now. Glen Mills, right?
Glen Mills, there you go.
Yeah, I was going to go, what is that place? Oh, yeah, Glen Mills. Yeah, I know. And
it's only been how many years?
Right? I know. So, true enough. I know. You know what? It's one of these things. I know how to get there. Just can't tell you. I know how to get there. I just can't give you directions. And I'm not the only guy who does that, right? Right? You're gonna leave me.
No.
You're gonna leave me hanging here, aren't you, Andrew? Aren't you?
So I grew up in Glen Mills. I went to school in Delaware County, and this is the time before I guess MapQuest finally came out. But I used to know the roads though, like the back of my hand, all over Delaware County. And I'll tell you what, it's just really challenging now. It is. Like, I know how to get places, but I don't know road names. I don't know anything anymore.
So let's see, Delco guys. So let's see, Swarthmore, Garnet Valley, Sun Valley. Where'd you go?
I'm an O'Hara guy.
Oh, okay.
Cardinal O'Hara, the Cardinal O'Hara. That's right.
The Cardinal O'Hara. Very good. And and it didn't go too far away living in North Wilmington now, did you? You just like, I go over the border there, and there you landed.
I love where I am.
Yeah, you should.
Love where I am.
No.
Yeah, not far from home, and I love in Delaware, so. Yeah.
Exactly. I know. So anyway, I want folks to know Andrew's a great guy. He is a financial planner with Dan White and Associates. You can give him a call at 888-690-8820. See, I don't even need a note on that. I've memorized that one, 888-690-8820. So I imagine you have a lot of clients calling up going like, good Lord, look what's happening to the stock portion of my portfolio. Huh?
Fortunately, we're not. But I think there's reasons for that. And you had a really good kind of lead into this. And, it really does come down to the planning process. But, people are typically worried right now with, all the things that are going on. A couple days ago, I don't know exactly what the figure is at this moment, but the Dow was down roughly 9% since its February high. Obviously the market hasn't crashed yet, but I will tell you, so, there was a line that I heard not too long ago, but it's, you can't miss what you never had.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my point is, like, I do find that people are not as emotional when they don't earn quite as much, but the moment the market goes down, because they had it, right? They had the money there, or at least on paper, and then the market goes down. There's this emotional response, so that can happen. But before, you have any panic or anything like that, obviously we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. But the things that I try to focus on is saying, okay, well, when do you need the money?
Yeah.
Right. Is this long term? Is this short term? Is it, kind of in the middle? But that should really help determine, how to respond and, how to develop a plan. So, the first thing is, if you need the money and if it's 10 or plus years before you're probably going to need the money, then why are you reacting? This isn't something you need near term. You certainly don't want to get whipsawed. And, it's one of those things where, quite frankly, for most people, they should probably just leave it alone. And unfortunately, the market does have its ups and downs, but that's the way it's always been. But long term, obviously the markets are going to typically pay off. So
that's true.
Long term money, 10 plus years, maybe don't react as much.
But you guys also have a specialty. In addition to that, you also have a specialty of the guaranteed income and the insured contracts and things like that actually do earn interest and provide steady income when you really truly need it too. And I think that's
part.
That's one of the benefits.
That's part of it too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, this is for more near term. And when I say near term, usually if you're within a few years, ideally within 5 years of retirement, you start looking at maybe some alternatives to provide the income that you're going to need in retirement. But maybe it makes sense at this point. Look, we're not that far off of all-time highs. But maybe it might make sense as we're here, not quite as high as he's ever been, but pretty close. It might make sense to think about rebalancing, maybe towards some safer options. Maybe that's a guaranteed route. Maybe it's just more diversification and moving money, some money to something that is more conservative. Again, that's near term, so you don't have quite as much time to absorb the type of shock. If the markets were to take a further downfall.
Yeah.
And then, just think about the money you need now. And I've seen this over the years. I've been doing this for just about 20 years. And, I will tell you that, some people have the idea where they come in with some money and, maybe it's inheritance or whatever it is. And, they say they want to, start investing it, which is fine. But then you ask them, well, what do you need this for? And if you hear, well, I need a new deck or I need a new roof or, I need something that's essential 6 months from now, I don't think it necessarily makes sense to position that money, where it's at risk, where you need it in the near term. Just be very careful with that. I see some clients right now, quite frankly, they need to start taking those required minimum distributions. So maybe it might make sense, if the market has gone down, maybe it might make sense, or I should say go up, and it has gone up over the last few years.
Yeah.
Maybe it might make sense to pull some money out of your better performing assets. That way your underperforming assets, you're not, tapping into those at their lows, and you give them the ability to kind of rebound and, do better. So there are different strategies that you can use for that near-term money.
Uh-huh.
But again, I think a lot of the reaction, how you should be responding if, you are worried is, again, ask yourself that question. When do you need it? What's the purpose of the money? And do you have a plan for it?
These S&P 500 ETFs and such that people like to use, of course, they're getting hammered right now. But understand if it's in a 401k, I've always planned it this way. I mean, that would be part of what I have in my 401k. I usually have like 4 or 5 different options. And you're buying low now. So if you're still putting into a 401k or any IRA or anything like that, okay. And if you know that what you're investing in is solid and will be over the next, say, 5 to 10 years at least, then you're buying
longer term money, right?
Yeah. Yep. But this is probably not why you called in, because I know I started the conversation, and I'm presuming that you had something you wanted to talk about. So I should really
that was actually it. Again, just having to deal with the timing and.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's not. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because, again, I mean, I know there are a lot of people that are concerned right now, whether it's, price of oil, inflation, the geopolitical issues that we're seeing right now. I mean, there's just so much going on. And then you're in the news, so I'll be careful. But, we don't know what's actually true and not. So,
yeah, that's true. We don't. We hear something for a couple of days in the news, and I'm not going to get political here, but you hear something in the news for a couple of days, and then you find out later, oh, that wasn't true, and those news reports were fake. I'm talking about the national, international stuff. And it turns out, oh, okay, so it wasn't really all that bad. And then sometimes we hear something that's good. You're right. We really don't know. And I just think it's more obvious now than when we were kids that this kind of thing happens all the time. But I love the fact that you and I were talking, and what you wanted to talk about is indeed what's on the minds of the vast majority of people. I love that.
I said that you kind of walked right into it. So and you led me. So that was good. But again, I don't want to see anyone get overly emotional and panic. But I will tell you that again, like you don't miss what you never had. So there is a thing where I see where you lose a few percentage points or whatever it is, you know, in a short period of time, and emotions can kick in. But again, I think a lot of it has to do, and strategy has to, you know, deal with when do you need the money and what's the purpose of the money.
Testimony that you know what you're doing and working with people is when I asked you, gosh, people must be calling you and asking, what am I going to do? And you said, no, not really. And what that tells me is that you really know your clients. They know what there's a lot of transparency. You and your clients really do understand each other. Otherwise, you'd be saying, oh, my gosh, yeah, they're all freaking out. And it just doesn't even occur to me until you said, no, because, you know, it's always about the plan and the planning. And so they understand what's going on. I love that, man. Andrew Wood.
You know, and a lot of it, Rick, has to do with certainty, just providing, you know, at least a little bit more certainty. Yeah. And I think that's what we want. We want certainty, we want clarity, and that's a lot of what we provide.
All right, man. Andrew Wood, the financial planner specializing in retirement income at Dan White and Associates. Give him a call, 888-690-8820. Doesn't charge you anything to sit down, talk, and try to figure some things out that work for you. And on Sunday morning, I don't know if you have anything more to say about this, but on Sunday morning, Dan White hosts On the Money right here on 101.7 FM, 1150 AM, and streaming live at WDEL.com.
Thanks for having me, Rick.
All right, Andrew, good talking to you, buddy. Take care. All right,